Welcome to Jags Drive Time with Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, and Brian Sexton. Jags Drive Time starts right now.
Pretty good, given that I think every position is going to be a top 3-round pick or a high-price free agent.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to give me I knew where you're going.
I love it. Everybody was feeling it. Everybody was feeling it. No, it's great. It's great. I'll say. That's right. I know. Hey, believe me. I know.
The question is, your defense going to be good this year, Coach? And he didn't want to be the one to say, but we all think it's going to be pretty good this season. Welcome into Jaguars Drive Time. Ashlyn Sullivan, John Oehser, Brian Sexton, and Bucky Brooks with us this week in Jacksonville. He shows up, and we just put him on the show. That's how this works around here.
That's right. I came at John's request. He asked, he's like, look, I need you to come and check out what's going on in off-season workouts. It's so important to the fortunes of the team. I was like, you know what, J.O., I'm going to get on a plane, and I'm going to make sure that I come down and I'm able to see it.
Yeah, the reason I said that is I was hoping you would go in my place. so thank you. You can go today.
Yes, Bucky flew from Los Angeles to watch an OTA practice.
That's
it was
right.
a good practice. Your thoughts, we'll get to them, but what did you think, your first OTA out here?
No, look, you want to see Doug Peterson in action. I want to see what the team looked like. I want to see how organized and structured it was. And then you want to see the quarterback and what the quarterback looks like. Does it feel like he's taken to the system and the coaching? And I think by all accounts, I think everyone should be optimistic by what we've seen and the limited exposure that we've had to the team.
He's leading you right to Big Thing 1, so go for it.
Absolutely. What a lovely transition I have here.
And I don't even think he has a script.
Nope. He's just like that. Big Thing 1 is 180 degrees, off to a great start in this OTA period. Yesterday, half indoor, half outdoor practice due to Florida lightning. And you expect when those things happen, that's a little bit of chaos. And we walked into the indoor facility, and within 5 minutes, this team was practicing right again, and there was no hiccups in that movement. Reps moving effortlessly through 11-on-11, 7-on-7. It's just 180 degrees different than it was at this point last season, and that's great to see. Big thing, too, is trust. Coach Peterson, how he trusts this team to handle any wrinkle he puts in OTA practice. There's a lot of movement going on with offensive linemen becoming swing tackles and moving in different positions. Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram in different formations, and this comes from Coach Peterson taking it up a notch with his team.
As I gain their trust, I can push a little bit harder. And there is a fine line there, and there is a balance there. And that just comes from just understanding and really reaching out to the players and kind of, seeing how they react to certain things. I want to push them in practice. I want to challenge them in practice, but at the same time, I don't want to really overstep my bounds a little bit right now, with them. And at the same time, when I do that, I want to see the return, back, towards what we're doing, and that's what I've seen. And so, the more that we continue to have that two-way, communication and dialogue, I can continue to push a little bit harder. Obviously, in the off season, we go a little bit easier, but I think it happens more in training camp when the pads come on and it gets a little warmer outside, and we can really challenge them a little bit more.
Big thing 3, what it should look like. Receivers and Trevor Lawrence on the same page. And the pass game yesterday was very impressive. The best OTA we've seen from the passing game in this offseason program. And the defense making some plays as well. And I think we can just get used to this defense moving very quickly. And Coach Peterson, even though it's the offseason, putting things into perspective of where we are right now.
I'll say this, and there's 32 teams, obviously, that really think this time of year that everybody has a chance. I'll just start there. I do like the youth on this roster. Obviously the draft picks are fitting in nicely right now, and some of the the undrafted guys. But there's enough veteran leadership on that football team, on that side of the ball, on defense, that has really embraced everything that we're doing. I'm encouraged by that, obviously, as a coach, and I know the defensive staff is encouraged by that. And again, it's going to be exciting, I think, once camp and we start putting the pads on and really kind of the banging and start playing games. I think having the extra preseason game is going to help us to evaluate some of that, and just looking forward to where we are as a defense as we move forward.
And there you have it. That is big things coming off an OTA practice yesterday. We were on the field observing, like we said, half indoor, half outdoor practice. And in times past, that can be chaos at times. And we were all pretty impressed when we walked in an indoor facility and it was like no one missed a step. That was impressive to me.
Yeah, and that was impressive. But I couldn't help thinking when I'm watching Doug Peterson right now, Bucky, you'll be surprised this. I never played in the NFL.
It's weird.
Very, very close, but I didn't. But I've been around it enough to know that somehow an NFL coach has to have players want to play for him. Now, that could be through discipline, the way Tom Coughlin did it. I'm not saying players love playing for Tom, but when you talk to players about Tom, they always talked about no matter what he was, he had you prepared. So there was something about that coach that makes players want to play for him. Well, Doug Peterson talking just then, to me, was talking about how do I establish this environment, or he doesn't have to ask it, he knows. Establishing an environment where players want to play for him. And in the NFL these days, I think you have to have that. To me, that talk about trust, if you could take that soundbite, that's how he organizes a team, motivates a team, gets guys playing for him. That's how he makes it his team, Bucky.
Yeah, no, I think the one thing that Doug has quickly shown us down in Jacksonville is like he understands it at a high level. I think there's a level of confidence that he exudes at the podium and in front of the media members, in front of the team, that I understand where we are, I know how to do this. And I think that confidence comes from winning a Super Bowl. I think he understands he has a plan and a blueprint for getting this team to be at a championship level. And I think he does it in maybe a different way than we've seen Coach Coughlin and some others do it. And talking to him, one, because we played together in Green Bay, I did kind of ask him how much of that is similar in terms of the standard and the expectations and playing fast and going hard and getting guys to buy in. And a lot of that comes from him winning and being a part of 3 Super Bowl winning teams and all that other stuff. And I just think he gets it. And I think the big thing that he talked about is trust. And the National Football League is funny because we talk about team, and a lot of us are used to like our experiences in youth and high school where, look, it was a dictatorship. It wasn't necessarily democracy or cooperation, but this is a co-op where you need the players as much as the players need the coaches. And so you have to convince the players that what I'm telling you is for the betterment of your individual self and also the team. And I think he's trying to establish that this part of the offseason. I think he's having success.
So let me flip the trust script, because you talk about the coach earning the players' trust, but the players, to me, appear to have earned the coach's trust. The way that he is mixing guys around, the different situations, the tempo of practice, it's clear he thinks he has a team that can handle that. Right? We saw a team win 3 games last year and look unspectacular for most of the season. And so why would we think we would see a team out there doing what they're doing? You might have expected to see more basics, more fundamentals. He's got them in certain situations in week 3 of OTA, because he trusts them and what they've shown him they're capable of handling.
And you notice from week 2 to week 3 the vast difference in an OTA. And I know you were there yesterday, and it just faster tempo, more wrinkles, less balls on the ground. You're seeing that steady improvement. Maybe that's the reason we're only out there once a week, is so we can see that steady improvement. Right,
Hey,
John?
Whatever it takes.
I think it's interesting, Ashlyn, you bring up like fewer balls on the ground. And so, and talking to Doug and being around it, like championship level teams, like the ball doesn't hit the ground in practice. Like the ball whizzes around. We talked about your experience in Indianapolis watching Peyton Manning. Like there's a crispness and efficiency to the way that practice operates that you do your work and you get out. Doug had talked about, I think it was supposed to be 126 minutes or whatever yesterday. And he was like, look, we should be able to get out less than that. Like we need to be able to get on and off the field. The faster we get on and do our work, the faster we can get off. And so people think about that as a player's coach, but he is saying, no, it's not necessarily being a player's coach. Is let's be efficient in what we do. Let's execute at a high level, and let's just do what is only necessary and then be done. And to your point, you talked about the trust. The trust comes from, and he said, like, having to show the team how to win. He feels like there's a level of maturity with the young guys on the team, the Trevor Lawrences, the Christian Kirks, the Devin Lloyds, that these guys kind of understand it, and they want to play really well. They want to be a good team. Well, when you have a mature team, you don't have to do all that browbeating and stuff. They get it. Let's do what we need to do, and let's get off. And I think you're seeing that.
Well, and you talk about how he believes the defense. We all think the defense is going to be something to watch this year. But when you see the offense, we talked about it yesterday, not putting the ball on the ground in simple drills, when you see the execution, the quarterback putting it in that tight window, when you see guys like Laviska Shenault, who none of us expect to be making big plays down the field like he did yesterday, well, there's some efficiency there that we weren't taking into effect. All of a sudden now, it's pretty clear this offense is going to be better than a lot of people think. You can't read anything on a national level from people who aren't in Jacksonville without reading they're still going to be a lower level team. Really? They have to be? Or are they showing us right here that they'll be a better team? Right? I think that's what they're showing us on OTAs. You can expect, based on the way that they practice, that when we talk about 8 or 9 wins, right? It's not ridiculous.
No, it's not. And that helps when you're out there for OTAs. It kind of helps relieve the stink of last year because this team is so different than last year. You just look at the names on the roster, and right now it's a huge roster, but there are a lot of names that we're still figuring out. So, no, it's not unrealistic to think that this can completely flip the script in a year.
Well, I think there's a belief on Doug's part that there's no reason why what Brian said can't be the case. And to me, I get that it's vogue and it's fine to slam what was going on last year.
Yeah.
And, okay, the college coach didn't know how to talk to it. But, it's not necessarily an insult to Urban Meyer. He had been a college coach. He wasn't sure how to, the expectation level that you should have for a professional athlete. His coaching background was explaining and teaching and taking 17-year-olds to 21-year-olds. 22, 23-year-olds are different beasts. Doug Peterson treats these guys like professionals, and I think what we saw yesterday was a very small example of that. Hey, I know these guys know how to get into the drill. Yeah. Let's just go inside and practice.
Right.
That wouldn't have happened last year. Not anybody's fault. It just wasn't the way it was.
Right.
I like that you laid that out there. That made me feel better. And with that, we have linebacker Foye Oluokun joining us on Jaguars Drive Time, coming up on the Jaguars Digital Network. Fans like you've been told that going all out is going too far. But fans like you know better. You're the kind of fan who loves the team as much as your pet, who paints yourself for game days and dyes your pet's fur to match. You are a rare breed. You are a pet fanatic, equal parts pet obsessed and diehard sports fan. At Pet Paradise, they're crazy about pets too. The official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here to tell you where to find the most authentic Southern pit barbecue in all of Jacksonville. That's right, Bono's. For 72 years, Bono's has been smoking real pit barbecue right here on the First Coast. Smoked for hours, served in minutes, and always cut to order. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field. Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you want great barbecue, head to Bono's today. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 300s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-431-0006 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
We're back, Jaguars Drive Time, brought to you by Jet Home Loans. So excited to have linebacker Foye Oluokun join us on the program right now. Last time we spoke to you, Foye, was free agency. A long time ago. It was a whirlwind of a day. You were getting adjusted. You were meeting all these people, and now you're here practicing during OTAs. Explain the past couple of months to us, getting acclimated.
It's hectic. You got a lot to handle off the field with moving and getting to know the new area, getting to know new teammates and stuff. But really feel right at home as soon as you get on the field. I went through a new coaching staff last year, so it's all about, getting the plays and getting to know who's playing around you and being able to communicate across the board, playing fast. So getting back on the field is the fun part of it all.
You weren't here last year, so you don't have the perspective, but I'll tell you, the linebacking core is dramatically overhauled, dramatically improved. As you look at the guys around you, Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma, what do you see from this unit?
You know, the young guys, they're trying to learn as quick as possible. I feel like I got a lot of information to pass along to them, get them up to speed in terms of NFL experience, being able to identify formations and know what to expect. And, you know, the guys who are already here, they work very hard, and they're just as eager. So, obviously, there's a big special teams role that every linebackers play in general, and then you kind of take that work ethic to your linebacker room. And I just love the energy that we bring to the field.
How about those two rookies in particular, though, athletically? To see they're different,
yeah.
But to see the things they do, how do they complement your role and what you've built in the NFL?
You know, I can play off of most anybody, I feel like, in the league, just because I see how they play and I can always adjust to it because I'm a kind of versatile athlete. I think Devin's a little bit more twitchy, Chad's a little bit more cerebral. Obviously, Devin's just as eager to learn that mental aspect of the game. You know, Chad, same thing, trying to get up to speed with movements and block destruction and stuff. But I just love how eager they are to come every day in and work and try to get better.
I'm going to ask you two questions. I'm going to assume the first answer is yes, but I'll ask it anyway. New defense, new defensive coordinator, new player. I assume you know this scheme better than your teammates right now, right? The new scheme.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay. But I assume you're a playbook guy. You're going to have the green dot. Tell me about this defense. What do you like about it? And without giving away too much, what is this defense going to be?
Yeah, it's hard to not say too much when you ask, you know, what we do out there. But I feel like it's a good opportunity for us. Obviously, we're going to try to stop the run first. We got a good personnel in order to do that. Brought some good guys in. Very hard working, too. And as I say earlier, as long as we play fast and off each other, we can really be any kind of defense we want to be. We got different personnel packages we can put on the field, a lot of versatile guys. So I feel like depending on the week, we can be whatever.
But I was joking at the top, but you are a guy with a reputation for you're going to know this scheme, you're going to know this playbook. I assume that's been a big part of your life the last month.
That's how I mean, when I first got in the league, you know, I was kind of behind people, so knowing the playbook is how I got to, you know, earn my spot in the rotation. And then once you know the playbook, you can play faster, you can take your shots on the field. Now you can learn what the offense is bringing out to you, what to expect when you see something from them. And that's how you're able to make plays for me. You know, being able to be a step ahead of the offense when they show you something, what can they run out of it?
You know, go ahead.
Take us through learning the playbook. Like, I think fans hear that and they go, okay, well, what exactly does that mean? Is it studying like anyone would study for a test, or is it, applying for an interview? Like, when you say learning a playbook, how many hours go into that?
It takes a lot. You know, this being my third kind of playbook I'm learning, first and foremost, you got to forget all the verbiage from the other two playbooks that you heard, because that will really mess you up. Like, one call here meant something totally different over there. But when you kind of see the same details within a play, you kind of already know, you know, oh, this call is what that was. So that makes it a little bit easier, but just kind of getting that old verbiage out of your system. But really, it's kind of like an interview, especially, you know, I was in college, I had internships and stuff. You got an interview, kind of have to expect, you know, what questions can come off of questions. Like, oh, they'll ask you this question, I'll answer that, and then, oh, probably they'll hit me back with this question. So kind of like plays, oh, it's this play, they'll line up like this, but what happens if they line up like this? What happens when, you know, this guy comes into motion and makes this little part of their offensive formation? So you're not really going to master a playbook until you can really think 2 steps ahead of a play when they line up.
You know, playing off of that thought, watching practice, Doug Peterson seems to have a lot of trust in this team. He was moving guys on both sides of the ball, different positions, different lineups. It would seem that he thinks he's got a team who's capable of handling this, even in its second month together.
I mean, that's great to have that trust from the head coach, and I like it because I feel like he's trusted me in order to, you know, get everybody on the same page. And when I feel like as a defense we have that control on the defense, you know, that's how you're able to play fast off of each other, make the plays you need to.
Beyond just scheme, what do you like about Mike Caldwell?
I like his demeanor, you know, and the way he talks to us, approaches us as professionals, and expects the most out of us. You know, I like the confidence that he gives us as a unit, and, you know, we're going to take that and run with it.
I was watching after practice on Tuesday. You were working one-on-one with Devin Lloyd. When you work with a rookie, especially like that, do you go in knowing what you're going to work on, or is it him approaching you, hey, can we work on this? I have a question.
A little bit of both. I'll see something like, oh, I remember when I was a rookie, I used to struggle at that, or oh, when I was a rookie, I was, or over the years, I was good at that. You know, kind of giving him my tidbits and things I think that, you know, he can improve on his game because, you know, as coming in with that much talent, I feel like if you perfect, you know, what he already knows, and then me giving him more, you know, why not for him to be better than me? And if he's better than, you know, gets better quicker, now we can both play really well.
You have 2 weeks, and then the minicamp is done, and you're free. What will you do? What will the summer be like for you? You're from St. Louis, where
St.
it's
Louis, that's right.
hot and humid.
Yeah.
Will you go home and work in St. Louis in the heat and humidity? Will you stay here in Florida to get used to it? What's your approach to training in the summer?
I like being places where all I do is work. You know, I got a couple weddings I got to go to. Those will take the weekends, but during the week it's a work week still for me because I got places I want to get to as a player. I like to be in the heat because I remember even in Atlanta, it gets kind of cold during the winter. I remember coming down to Florida, whether we're playing Tampa, we played Jacksonville last year. That heat's no joke that late in the year. So I want to be able to get used to this heat I'm going to play in preseason and stuff, and then I feel like after that I can adjust to anything. I played in the cold all 4 years at Yale, so I don't really mind that as long as it's not rain and cold. Snow and cold is straight. But, yeah, just get used to the heat and work on my craft down here.
Well, enjoy those weddings. Enjoy summer. And Foye, thank you so much for joining us on Jaguars Drive Time.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll be back on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Your family isn't like anyone else's. Your home shouldn't be either. At Dreamfinders Homes, you can build the home of your dreams in one of their 30-plus communities in Northeast Florida. Choose from luxury single-family homes or maintenance-free townhomes from the 300s. Dreamfinders specializes in homes built to fit your lifestyle. To find out more, call 904-431-0006 or visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Hey Jags fans, this is head coach Doug Peterson of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everyone deserves to arrive at their destination safely. When walking, always use the sidewalk. If there is no sidewalk, walk facing traffic, along the grassy shoulder, a safe distance from the travel lane. When driving, slow down, stay alert, and always watch for pedestrians. Remember, Duval, safety doesn't happen by accident. Visit alerttodayflorida.com for more safety tips.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You won't believe what Daly's Place has in store for you this year. Coming up are the likes of Dave Matthews Band, the Black Crowes, Her, Keith Urban, and much more. For a full list of shows and to get tickets, visit dailysplace.com. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time on a Wednesday morning. Ashlyn, Brian, John, and Bucky Brooks with you here live in Jacksonville. Bucky here for a couple more days, looking up OTAs.
I should have extended my stay at Taco and Margarita Festival.
Yeah, it's your game.
That has got you written all over it, huh?
Yeah. Fish taco. You think they have fish tacos for you, boy?
Well, if it's like it's supposed to be some renowned festival, I assume they have fish, shrimp. I assume you have the whole gamut. You're not just rolling out bean tacos.
I'm just wondering.
All right, guys. Well, lots of questions, and you know we love depth charts around here. Everyone loves depth charts and wants to know who is playing where right now in June. So we're going to give our best go at this defensive front, this 3-4 front, and we got this off ESPN, and our best guesses. The team has not announced this, but this is where we're placing defensive players as of right now. Brian, when you look at this front, what are your thoughts?
It's young, but it's talented. I mean, you see guys like Josh Allen up there with a guy that I'm really interested in, fully, Fatukasi.
There you go.
I'm still working on that one. and Roy Robertson Harris made a bunch of plays down the stretch last year, and you forget about him. Here's the other thing that strikes me, Bucky, is it's deep, because up there are the three starting defensive linemen, Behind them, you got Malcolm Brown, who, again, was a key component on first and second down last year, and a young Jay Tufele, for whom I think there are expectations of reaching another level.
Yeah, no, the thing that stands out to me about the front and watching them, they are big, and that's not accidental. That is something that they want to be a bigger physical team that can impose their will. They talked about, and talking to the coaches, they talked about being able to beat people up physically at the line of scrimmage. The one thing that stood out to me is Walker and Allen standing up in those 2-point stances and just the size, because as big as we think Josh Allen is, like Trayvon Walker is
it's
monster.
striking to see them next to each other.
Yeah,
It
like
really
a
is.
supersized guy. And the beauty of the 3-4 defense, and then talking to Doug Peterson, that's going all the way back to our time in Green Bay when we used to play Pittsburgh Steelers in their 3-4, it was always the challenge in trying to figure out who's the fourth and the fifth rusher, who is coming, who's dropping out. And we've seen it, we saw it play out on Tuesday in practice, where they're doing these zone blitz things and you can't tell who's coming, who's not, who's dropping out, and you could begin to see the disruption and the turnovers come. And so really exciting to see what potentially could be putting together on defense, even though no one will admit to what the depth chart looks like.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts on that depth chart. I think that one may do a disservice to Malcolm Brown. I'm not so sure that he's not in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
I don't know about Devon Hamilton. I think he has to play better than he did last year.
Yeah.
But more than that, what's striking is Smoot's not on that.
Yeah.
Muma's not on that. Brown's not on that. Kayvon Chason's not on that. I'm not saying Kayvon has played to a level yet, but that's 4 guys I mentioned that 3 or 4 of them, you're not scared if they're playing. This has a chance to be a deep unit that comes at you in waves, which is what you need on defense. So that, to me, is the most telling thing about that front 7, is that there's 4 or 5 more guys you can add to that I don't mind having on the field.
No, I think that part is important. I think the guys that you talked about, like being in the rotation, that matters. A couple things that stand out. One, we talked about the linebackers. The linebacker unit is very, very deep. So there's an opportunity for the special teams to be better, because the better the linebackers are, the better the special teams units are, because those guys will get jerseys on Sundays and they'll contribute in the third phase. The other part of it, because there was the question that we had to answer on draft night, well, why do you get Trav Moomin when you draft Devin Lloyd and you appear to have these other guys in place? Well, you want to continue to add good players, because when you add good players, you end up having a good team, even if you have an excess or a surplus at a position. You can always find ways to fill out your weaknesses, waiver wire, trades, and those things. And so initially, the front 7 looks terrific. Now it's about assessing what you can do in the back end, and do you become more of a zone-based team or a man-based team based on the talents that you have in the back end.
Muma gives them the ability to take Devin Lloyd and move him in so many different places. Maybe it was the 33 that was throwing me, because that's a defensive backs number. But to see him lined up out on the slot in certain drills yesterday, that's why you take Chad Muma, because he leverages everything else that you've got in ways that you couldn't with whoever was here before.
Yeah, it gives you more flexibility. And it's not only that, it's the ability to create different packages. And talking to a couple of the defensive coaches yesterday, they're like, we haven't even got to the part where we unveil the fun stuff, the exotics, where, maybe you have 2 D linemen, 4 linebackers, 5 DBs on the field, guys walking around and prowling, trying to create issues for the offense to identify who do we pick up in pass protection and those things. And so the more athleticism, the more versatility, the more flexibility that you have, the more problems you can create on defense.
Yeah.
The drafting of Muma, to me, feels like it has potential to be a watershed moment for this franchise. And I'm overstating a little bit, but we talked on draft night, all of us. This team hasn't been scary, physical. The Seahawks, when they used to be good, I keep using that comparison. You used to watch them and think, well, it's not fair. They're playing 13 on 11 because they played that way. It was a swarm. Jaguars haven't been that. Athletic ability at linebacker is what gives you that feel. That, to me, was what the Muma pick was all about, in addition to what Bucky's talking about. For the first time in a long time, you felt like they picked a player because they looked at it and went, this guy can really play. This guy is really good, and we'll figure it out once he gets here. There's been too many picks that haven't had that feel lately. So to me, that in 2 or 3 years, if we're looking back at this as a defense that's just swarming, it's got some nickname and everything's cool, that draft and that moment when they said, we're going to go ahead and get really good here? Maybe the moment we look back on.
If the defense has a nickname, that's when you know. There hasn't been a nickname here in a while.
Other than like bad nickname.
I think it's worth mentioning again, and you said it just a moment ago, John, and that is we didn't even mention K'Lavon Chaisson, right?
Yeah.
First round pick, 20th pick of the draft, whose physical abilities are not to be diminished. He's got them. He just hasn't turned it on. If we're not even mentioning him and he takes a step forward, it's a big if, but if he can do that, we'll talk about chess pieces that you've got now, because he's an explosive dude.
He's an explosive player, but I think the gauntlet's been laid down. I think whenever Doug's been asked about him, it's about competitive environment, competition, where he's going to have to earn it. Yeah, because that first round label is off. Now it's about, okay, what do I do to put myself in a position to earn a role?
Okay,
but so he's going to have to figure it out.
Let's assume, he's a smart kid. Let's assume that he jumps up to it. How do you use him?
Yeah, you just have to figure it out.
What can you do with it? There's you talk about exotic packages.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have if he steps up and becomes the player that the Jaguars expected him to be when he was picked in the first round. If not, then it's a role flip for him.
Yeah.
Okay, what am I going to do to create an opportunity for myself? Am I willing to now be an A-level special teamer until I can buy time to have an opportunity to rush the passer? All of those things are in play, and so hopefully for him, it's a reality check. It's an opportunity to look in the mirror and say, like, this is what I need to do to put myself in a position to get a jersey on Sunday, because if I get a jersey on Sunday by being active, then it gives me an opportunity to get on the field as a defensive player. But he has to make contributions maybe in the third phase to be able to get a chance to do it as a starter.
It's been a long time since we've talked about an abundance of players. We've always talked around here, not always, but in the last couple of years about having enough. Is there enough, right? Now all of a sudden you've gone from scarcity to apparently abundance.
There was
And my sense is K'Lavon will do that, Shalyn. He's
a bright kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid. Everything you hear about him is that he really, really wants it. It's a matter of him finding the way to do it. So I don't think if things don't go right for him in terms of being a starter, I don't think you'll see this kid go south.
No, you mentioned exotic packages, the fun stuff. I mean, in 2017, the fun stuff involved Dante Fowler and Yannick Ngakoue on the same side opposite Calais Campbell with Marcel Darius in the middle. It created all kinds of havoc.
Yeah.
What could you do if you've got Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, and K'Lavon Chaisson on the field at the same time, with Devin Lloyd able to rush the passer also?
And
it could be fun.
There was a play yesterday, Travis Etienne was going down the sideline, and all of a sudden you see K'Lavon Chaisson drop back and have a pass breakup on Travis Etienne, one-on-one. I had never seen that from K'Lavon Chaisson. It made me think, is that a wrinkle that I don't know about, that we're seeing a guy like him drop back in pass coverage? I had never seen that before.
Well, I mean, the defense, there's so many things that you can do. Like, and we've seen this defense kind of morph and evolve over the last few years in terms of, hey, is it a hybrid 4-3? Is it 3-4? Is it this, that? I think the main thing is the more athletes that you can put on the field that can do a variety of different things, the more creative the defensive coordinator can do. So what you want to do is be able to throw a bunch of different looks at the offense while keeping it simple enough for the defense to execute at a high level. So if we can get the complexity with simplicity and execution, then the good things will start to happen.
Absolutely, and that is a look at our defensive front. Our best guess at it as the step chart comes to fruition throughout the offseason. When we come back, some closing thoughts here on the Jaguars Digital Network. That going all out is going too far. But fans like you know better. You're the kind of fan who loves the team as much as your pet, who paints yourself for game days and dyes your pet's fur to match. You are a rare breed. You are a pet fanatic, equal parts pet obsessed and diehard sports fan. At Pet Paradise, they're crazy about pets too. The official pet care provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
Hey Jags fans, this is head coach Doug Peterson of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everyone deserves to arrive at their destination safely. When walking, always use the sidewalk. If there is no sidewalk, walk facing traffic, along the grassy shoulder, a safe distance from the travel lane. When driving, slow down, stay alert, and always watch for pedestrians. Remember, Duval, safety doesn't happen by accident. Visit alerttodayflorida.com for more safety tips.
Thank you, America, for making Ford F-Series the best-selling trucks for the 45th straight year. And it's no wonder when you have an F-150 with best-in-class payload and Super Duty with best-in-class horsepower, you know that F-Series is not only built for America, they're built for you. Get to your local Ford dealer, check out the entire lineup, and you'll see why the #1 truck in America for 45 straight years can only be Ford F-Series. Best-selling claim based on 1977 to 2021 calendar year sales.
One phrase I take from Coach Parcells all the time is you can't coach the team. When you're a GM or you're an evaluator, it's not your job. It's not your role. Let the coaches coach and find players that fit what they want to do from a schematic standpoint. And trust that once you give them a player that can do certain things, they're going to ask that player does those things and keep him away from things that he maybe doesn't do well. And again, it's just the collaborative effort that you go through to make sure you're getting the right players that fit your organization from a cultural standpoint and a physical standpoint.
General Manager Trent Baalke on the Ozone podcast. You can catch that on Jaguars.com right now. The Jaguars are future-focused and ready for a new look in 2022. Join us at the bank this season as head coach Doug Peterson and quarterback Trevor Lawrence lead the charge. To lock in your seats, visit Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. We're back, Jaguars Drive Time, for one more segment. Like we said, Trent Baalke on the Ozone podcast up on the website right now. And John, what did you think of the podcast? What do you have to say?
It was enjoyable. I mean, we went about 20 minutes, and the best thing he said was I asked him what his best on-the-field football moment was when he was a player, and he talked about he made a game-saving tackle in college for a team that had lost a lot of games in a row. So it was interesting because of the way Trent came into the general manager role around here, and because it was during COVID. I don't think a lot of us have had a chance to sit down with him very much and get to know him a little bit. It was almost like he sort of appeared. You knew who Trent Baalke was. He was here. He was with Dave Caldwell. Then he was GM. So this is the second time I've had a chance to sit down with him. Always enjoy it. I like the way he approaches building a football team. Big guys. I like his approach to the salary cap. All the things he says always make sense to me. I enjoyed the conversation, and it's worth a listen, Bucky. So listen.
Oh, I'm definitely. I'm gonna tune in,
Got a long
because
flight ahead.
you gave me the recommendation. I'm gonna do it. And so, in knowing Baalke for a long time, you're right. Like the things that he believes in, the principles are tried and true. We've seen over time. He talks about Bill Parcells and those guys believe in. There's a reason why you have different weight classes in boxing. You don't put heavyweights in with middleweights. Like you just don't do it. And so what you want ideally is a bigger, faster, stronger team, because over the course of 4 quarters, that big team will wear you down. And over the course of the season, when other teams wear down, this team should get stronger, particularly in the postseason when the game is played a certain way. And so we've talked about assembling a roster that has enough of those pieces that allow you to play the way that you need to play to win games in the playoffs.
Well, and that clip just gave you what you want to hear, is that he's focused on building a team for Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
What Doug wants and how Doug wants to play, not trying to create his own team based on what he wants. He's letting the coach drive it, which is common sense. But you remember in the spring, in the winter when he was being eviscerated across social media, people thought he would screw it up, get in the way, do his own thing. And he just told John that isn't how he thinks about this.
Right. So that is the Ozone podcast on Jaguars.com right now. Tune into that. The final chapter of The Hunt is out as well on Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. Definitely tune into that. Awesome work from our Jaguars production team on that. Thank you to Bucky Brooks for joining us this week here in Jacksonville, and stay with us on Jaguars.com for your continued OTA coverage.